Have you ever come across old ruins in a field or while you have been out camping and wondered how it came to be? Gravestones with messages to the dead that nobody seems to have any remembrance of once had enough influence for families and communities to at least make an effort to try and remember the person who influenced so many while they were here in this realm. But now, apart from the gravestone to remember them, their memory is lost. And this is not just common people like you or me whose memories are lost. In England, the final resting place of King Richard III, killed in battle in 1485, is actually under a car park and only rediscovered recently. Talk about lost history, and this was only 500 odd years ago. History is written by the victors after all. Anyway guys, today we wanted to talk to you a bit more about Scottish history, though still sitting in plain sight in the Crookston area of Glasgow. The Castle of Crookston is perhaps one of the lesser known castles in Scotland, and the history of the ancient building is in that of a lesser known one compared to the castles at Stirling. But this little castle on the hilltop has a rich history which evokes the imagination and wonder of what once was. Housing queens and enraging kings, Crookston Castle history may surprise you. Just wait to hear this. What if we were to tell you that the biggest cannon in the world was brought to this castle in 1489? The result was in that of almost complete destruction when the cannon known as Mons Meg was brought 50 miles from Edinburgh to bombard the ancient stronghold of Crookston into submission. The Stewart Earl of Lennox had rebelled against James IV, and the king responded with the strongest force imaginable for the day. The Mons Meg was a monster. The sheer presence of the cannon was enough to disgruntle most defenses. It was constructed by Johann Camber, artillery maker to the Duke of Burgundy, and it was successfully tested at Mons in the country of Hainault on what is now Belgium in June 1449. However, the Duke did not take delivery of the Mons Meg until 1453, desiring to interfere in English affairs. The Duke decided to help the Scots against the English, and so it was given to James II in 1454. A replica of the barrage was fired every day at 1 o'clock in Edinburgh from the castle, but since 2001, a more modern field gun is fired. Crookston Castle is surrounded by a defensive ring ditch, which is still there to this day. It dates back to the 12th century when Sir Robert de Croc, who also gave his name to the village of Crookston, built a timber and earth castle. Remains of the chapel founded by de Croc in 1180 have been uncovered. Evidence of even earlier fortifications on the same site has also been found. The lands of Crookston were bought by Sir Alan Stewart in 1330 and passed to Sir John Stewart of Darnley in 1361. The Darnley Stewarts replaced the early castle with the present stone structure around 1400. This would have been an immense construction. In 1544, the castle was besieged and taken by the Earl of Arran and Cardinal Beaton, while the then Earl of Lennox was defending Glasgow Castle, which was shamefully destroyed in 1861 to make way for Glasgow's Royal Infirmary Hospital. At this time, in 1544, Crookston was regarded as the principal house of the Earls of Lennox, rulers of the surrounding area and protectors of the royal bloodline of Scotland. The legendary Scottish Queen Mary, Queen of Scots, was betrothed to the then Lord Darnley at this castle. They were bonded in holy matrimony under a yew tree at the site, which survived until 1816 when it was felled. Of the wood from the tree, a model of the castle was commissioned, which is now on display at Pollock House. During the Battle of Langside, it is said that Mary watched the epic battle from the top of the Crookston Castle. In 1931, the National Trust for Scotland was established, and the first thing on the agenda was the acquirement of the Castle of Crookston. The walls of the castle are up to 5 meters thick. Only the northeast corner tower survives to its former height, as well as the basement of the southeast tower. The two western towers were destroyed in the 15th century and never rebuilt. repairs in the 19th century have obscured even the remains of these ruins. Today you can freely visit the castle ruins as you please. Iron ladders within the site allows for you to climb to the very top of the remaining structure and offers stunning views of the surrounding area. It would have been a true stronghold in its day, and you get a sense of the Scottish king with his huge Mons Meg and army surrounding this castle. The feeling of the structure in its day gives a sense of nostalgia of what it once was. The history of this place has survived locally in Glasgow, only recently being largely written as one piece of information from scrap pieces of oral information passed down the ages and hidden from history. But the story prevails, the castle survives, and in no doubt has plenty still to tell. As long as it still physically exists, no doubt it will still create history. Remember, Scotland's history is that of a rich history, but as the power struggle between England and Scotland unfolded throughout the ages, a large part of Scottish history became that in a lost one. With the union of the British Isles vastly favoring English growth and simmering Scotland down to a second-rate society for hundreds of years, the very fact that we can now begin to understand these periods of history is important. But as we delve into the truth of what has happened and what could have been, it gives a sense of frustration and anger, especially from a Scottish point of view. Anyway guys, just a bit of history that is not entirely lost, not entirely well known either. This important castle today is one of those little gems in the local area and not far from the Govan Stones. Check out our video on that below. We highly recommend you go and visit the site if you live nearby, or plan it for your visit. It's free after all. Anyway, Scotland is fantastically packed with ancient and lost history. We are going to enjoy delving further into what the ancient land has to offer, so we hope you can join us on the journey. Check out our links for more information. What do you guys think of the information we have presented to you guys here today? Comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.